All right,
Hey,
all right. Well,
hey!
this just shows our lack of professionalism. I put this on the screen before we actually played the intro, and I went live. So, welcome to the
Behind the scenes, David.
behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, it is a shit show. But hey, we have some new. Well, let me tell you who you're watching, guys. This is the Headhunters and Boxers Talking Smack show with your boy DSP, David Stephen Patterson, and my favorite co-host in the whole world. Out of all my
Yeah,
co-hosts that I currently
totally.
have right now, you're my favorite, Neil Lebovitz. And I actually said his name
Wow,
correctly for the first time in
wow.
weeks.
Why? Because this is the first time we're broadcasting multi-stream. We're actually a big shout out to the Independent Recruiters and Staffing Agencies group that we're now broadcasting to, my group. So this is, and now you don't make fun of me the first time that my peeps get to see you.
No, because they're rabid. Those guys are a bunch of jackals. They'll be all over me, and I don't need the herc. And what's the acronym? What's the Facebook acronym they use? It's
You
I've
know,
got the
I
herc.
haven't. It's your Herc because it's Headhunters and Executive Recruiters Community Herc, and
Yeah.
join it, by the way, great group. Mine is, I hate to say URSA, IRSA, because it's copying you because you already have an acronym, but it's Executive Recruiters and Staffing Agencies. If I call it URSA, I'm gonna have to be like you, URSA. You know, I don't want to do that because I feel like I'd be treading on you.
Well, actually, it's more like it's hashtag herc. Which, by the way,
Oh, the tread.
I prefer the pound. You know, like old
Oh,
school pound
as
herc. Like
opposed to that, as
no
opposed to
one
the.
knows. Well, but no one knows what pound is, right? It's like for us old guys, it's always pound. Now these
Right, you're right, right, right,
these
right.
millennials and Generation Z, they're always like hashtag this, hashtag that. I'm like, it was crazy when someone hashtags in a conversation, hashtag boomers. Am I right? Whatever. You ever see that? And that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
Why
yeah,
do they
we
call
are.
it? But why did they call it pound? Go back to that. In the day, it was called the pound button. But
Mhm.
why? Like, what did that have to do with? Like, do you know? There's got to be someone out there. Google that. There's got to be a reason, right?
It's yeah, probably just that. I think the sign itself was called pound. I
No,
I
it was.
believe.
But why? Asterisk is just. But is that why? Just like an asterisk is an asterisk. No, I mean weird though. What makes that? What does pound mean? Like like.
Why why is the sky blue? No
No,
one will ever.
no.
Science will never
Come on.
tell us.
There's a reason for this. There's one of those books that has, like those
Why
books on.
why am I so attractive?
Well, listen,
Why
for
am I so
people that,
charming? No one will ever know. It's a mystery of the universe.
well, to introduce to my group and YouTube world out there, they don't know that you were a one time. You're like the Atlas guy in the comic books. That was this nerdy, skinny boy that became the stud that you are now. Yeah, look at this.
Like,
Look at
look at those fat
look at this.
guns.
This
I
tattooed,
I
handsome.
used to be jacked about 3 years ago, 4 years. I used to be like jacked and totally tan. Which, by the way, I always made a note about this. Whenever somebody gets in a really good shape, like a guy, they get really good shape. They get like a chiseled chest. For some reason, their skin starts to brown, and all their hair falls out. And all their hair falls out
Isn't that
all except
crazy?
like a little circle in the middle of the back. That's like the one spot where the cancer doesn't hit. You know what I mean? Is that one circle in the middle of the back. Everywhere else, there's no hair. Isn't that
Is it
weird?
genetic? It is weird. When I got divorced, my hair started falling out of my pubic region. Is that the same phenomena?
That's the same phenomenon.
Isn't
Yes,
that weird? Weird.
it's an unsolved mystery. It is a
Yeah,
mystery.
yeah.
Who knows
I
why
had
that
no
happens?
business downstairs. I was not again. My group's not used to this talk. But the show's a little. It's a little morning show meets recruiting. So I should warn you, by the
Mhm.
way. So don't watch it. But yeah, and not that you should get a visual, but I had total beyond man 70s bush. Do you know what it looks like when a man doesn't take care of business for 40 years? 45 years, 46 years. And I just thought that was normal. Like it's scary.
It is kind of scary. I'll tell you what. There really wasn't a thing until I got into college, and then I discovered that was a thing. But I think that actually, from a cultural perspective, even women weren't really doing that up through. I think it's my sophomore year in college when that transition happened, and I remember very specifically. It was a very it's one of the inflection points in my life. I would probably have to say, to be honest with
Well,
you.
let's say picture this. So I'm 56, so you could do the math. So I was born in 63. The
Mm.
70s was my exploration years. So what I knew growing up, my first experiences were the classic 70s like it just was a like you're so lucky to have been born a generation later. Or like the kids nowadays that are out there, like it was scary.
No, we are
I don't want to
we
get
are
too graphic.
so no, we are so lucky. You know what? We're the last generation to not have all of our dirty laundry stored somewhere out in the cloud. All the stupid shit that I did when I was in high school will remain lost in the mists of time. You know what
You
I
know how
mean?
good, but no joke. That is thank God for that.
Yeah, yeah. Thank God. You know, because I mean, for me, gosh, I had what's Facebook's been around for what a dozen years, 15 years, whatever. So I'm 45, right? So all the way through my 20s. I had MySpace, kinda. I mean,
MySpace,
never
right,
really
right.
ever did anything on I had Friendster for a little bit before MySpace. But yeah, yeah, man. So that's one thing I love about being in our generation. We're not old yet, really not really like old, but at the same time, we missed out on all those awkward teenage years being recorded for history.
All
That's
right, so let me ask you this, and not to get terribly racy. Again,
mhm.
listen to me being conservative now that my group's watching this. But this came to mind yesterday for some reason. I don't
Yeah,
know why this popped in, but last night it came to my head. These porn girls, not porn girls, but amateurs, like all these people on all these free sites. Not that I know, I've read about this. Asking for a friend.
yeah. Asking for a friend.
How how do they show their faces? These 23-year-old girls with their boyfriends. Like, are they not worried that mom and dad's going to see that, or like when they're 38? Like how does that happen? It's not one girl, right? It's like all like no one seems. What is that? Is
Their
that a
brains aren't
cultural thing?
fully, their brains aren't fully formed yet. Their brains aren't
Right,
fully
right.
formed. You're what you're in
25,
twenties.
28. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they say. You're and so they're not thinking they get or and it's also there's the and plus nowadays getting things like likes and shares and all that. That's back 30 years ago that didn't exist, and now for a lot of young women and men to a certain degree as well, I'd say in that age group, but especially women, I think their self esteem is really tied into that in a very unhealthy way, and yeah,
It's just
and so
like
I
on the
would
dating sites, right? The dating
yeah, it's
sites
like
is the
dating
same
sites.
thing. You date
Oh,
someone and
100%.
they're addicted to the likes. They're addicted to the right swipe. I mean,
Well,
I'll be
dude,
on dates sometimes. Yeah, good.
these I mean, Facebook, Instagram, and all those, I mean, they're quite literally dopamine slot machines. I mean, they're designed to give you little shots of dopamine. That's why we can't go 5 minutes without going and checking our status. Did I post something? And did somebody like it? Somebody share it? Like it's just it's an addiction, and we have it. It's really telling when a lot of the big tech people have come out and said that they don't let their kids on social media. And these are the big tech people. That's really telling. That's
It
really
is.
telling,
It
isn't
is
it?
telling. You think that's true? You think that's real?
I would, yeah. In fact, I've considered it. So for my youngest, I may do that. It's kind of a little bit late for my middle child. She's 13, but we're gonna start restricting her use. But I think for my youngest, we're gonna try to restrict as much as we can. My middle actually went through a Waldorf school system, which they're really into hippie, earthy stuff, and so she was kept away from that for a while. But then we got kind of lax. Unfortunately, we got our YouTube, and then it's all been, it's all crazy YouTube videos ever since, and anime and all that kind of crap. Now she has anime posters all over her wall. Cut her hair short. I don't know what's going on. Clueless dad. Anyway, we're going off the rails here. So
We are.
that
Yes.
said, yeah.
So, David, you want to know who our
So for you
guest is
folks,
today?
yeah, our guest is nobody.
No, it's not. It's you out there, everyone. You all who
Oh
support
yes,
us. You are our guests today.
you are a guest today, and so for that said, if you have any questions at all that we can answer to titans of the staffing and training industries that can answer for you, please post them down in the comments below wherever you can find them, and hopefully this is a new system for us. Hopefully, you will see it. If
Yeah,
not, we'll kind of check
I'll
out
put it
the.
up on my cell. So if
And if
anyone
not,
could just
we'll
type
just
in it.
talk about some stuff. We'll talk about some training issues. We'll talk about some, you know, maybe talk about maybe marketing, retainers, branding. We can talk about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. That's one topic that Neil wanted to get into as well.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, let's.
I'm just trying
Let's
to see if we are we actually broadcasting on there. I think we are. Um, I don't see any of the comments popping up, and normally we're inundated by now. We're on two different groups.
Mhm.
But are we going in your group or we are? Is anyone out there? Just someone type something. Someone
Yeah.
type something.
So well, that's it. Let's talk about LinkedIn Sales Navigator because that's something that I get a lot in my group. Is I get questions about should I use LinkedIn Recruiter or LinkedIn Sales Navigator or RPS, whatever? And so let's talk about that because that's actually a subject that I like to talk about. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I was a LinkedIn Recruiter user for a long time, and in fact, I when I found LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I moved over to that, and then I kept my LinkedIn recruiter account for a couple of years and just never used it. And then when it came up for renewal, I'm like, see ya, because LinkedIn Sales Navigator is such a huge value compared to LinkedIn Recruiter. So that's I'm curious, Neil. I know you like to use LinkedIn Recruiter because I see your posts sometimes because you get these group buys going. Do you use LinkedIn Sales Navigator at all?
So yeah,
Have you?
I'm a sales navigator guy. That's what I have
Okay.
now. The reason I'm a trainer, I'm an ex trainer, and I would train lots of my recruiting corporate groups on how to use Recruiter. So I know it intimately. I also, my back office staffing solutions has a discounted buy for people. If anyone out there is interested and we're getting a trial by the end of the year, contact me like now because we're signing the deal, but you'll get a great discount on it if you're new. So I offer that for my people, and lots of people love it. If you use it, DSP, it's phenomenal. Like if you really know how to use it. But again, I want to hear your take because you've used both. I I've had it to learn how to train on it and teach people how to use it. But at the end of the day, I'm not reaching candidates looking for work. I sell to recruiters. Sales Navigator and integrations are wonderful for me.
Oh
So,
yeah, if
but
you if if,
the
if you're
projects that
selling,
are in
Missile
there,
Navigator is the way to go.
right, right. But I'll tell people, look, here are the benefits of recruiter. And tons of people say, no, listen to DSP. I went through his training, I went through his tech stuff, which by the way, for my group, that's what David does. Amazing. Um, and they'll say, well, you know how to tag people, or you use the tag so that you're able to do what the project folders do, which the project folder is amazing, but a lot of people don't use it.
Mhm.
And by the way, are you broadcasting in your group too, just to be safe? I mean, I see it if I click on it, but I don't see any. I can't actually find it in the group, and I don't see
Yeah,
any
it's
chats on
actually
there.
it is. I see it in my group. Are you in your group?
But there's no comments on there.
Yeah, I don't see it here. I don't know if it's
Right? We always
yeah,
get
and
lots of them,
now
so I'm wondering what's happening with it. Because
yeah, I'm curious. It may just be because this is Restream as opposed to BeLive.tv. Maybe it's just not getting much in the way of reach. I will say this: we do need to do a better job of putting in like an event and actually promoting the thing, which we don't promote. We don't promote jack shit around here, so we need to actually start doing that because next week we have Danny Mother effing Cahill in the house. And he
oh my
told
god,
us if there's
woo!
less than 100 viewers, he is bouncing. So you don't want Danny Cahill to bounce, do you? I don't
No,
think
yeah,
so.
Danny Cahill,
Um,
everyone. Put that on your calendar. This is Danny. He
Danny,
doesn't do any of these things.
the
He's
king of
hooking
the
me up.
one-liner. Yep.
The king of the
The
one.
king of the one-liners. His one-liners are some of the best in the biz. I probably still use some of his one-liners and don't even realize it. And I think they're my own, that I made them up, and they're probably his. But king of the one-liners. But as LinkedIn Sales Navigators, the reason why I use it is this. So it's about $80 a month. Although if you do the team edition, I think it's 135, which is what I have. But in essence, if you okay, so in the world of SAP, which is what I was recruiting for quite a while before I kind of split that off, um, uh, I'm connected to about 7 or 8 thousand SAP professionals here in the U.S. And because for all these first degree connections in SAP that I have within my third degree, I'm pretty much connected to everybody who's anybody in SAP. So I don't need to pay extra to find everybody because I can already get everybody. So if
All
you
right,
take the
but that's key,
time
right? Yeah.
yeah, if you take the time over time to connect with as many people in your industry as possible every single day or have a VA do it, then you don't this takes some time, but it is definitely doable. The other thing that I realized is that yeah, as far as folders, you can't really do tags now. Now it's lists to get rid of tags. But yeah, same thing. If if you're used to using folders, use tags or use lists. Although candidly, a lot of the sorting and whatnot that you can do in LinkedIn Recruiter, if you got an ATS, it does that anyway. But the other big thing that I think that you don't get with Sales Navigator, which I never really thought was valuable, at least for me personally, was when people would say they're open for opportunities. Because the way I look at it, everybody's open for an opportunity if it's the right one. So for me personally, I never used that. I like the ability to go onto Sales Navigator and have a dedicated news feed. So I talk a lot about being omnipresent and relevant in your industry. So always being around and being a face and being there. If you save your if on regular Sales Nav, you can save 1,500 prospects. On Team, you could do 5,000. All your decision makers, you don't have to be friends with them, right? You can save them in this list, and you'll have a dedicated news feed with just their content or where they're mentioned in the news, or they're quoted if they speak at a conference. And so that way, no matter what they do, you're always in their feed, you're always commenting, you're always liking, etc. That's a great way to be omnipresent. That's another reason why I like it. And another reason why I like it is the fact that I can now find those who have recently changed positions. So if I'm out there marketing and doing BD, one of the best people to reach out to are leaders who have started with their companies in the last 90 days. Because what do people do when they are brand new at the company? They usually have a mission. They have something that they were hired to do. And a lot of times that involves getting rid of people, hiring new people, reforming teams, reorganizing departments. And so one of the great things
do you use the automated save search DSP? Right? You
I do
use
use
that on
automated
the
save
save
search, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do a safe search. So you're constantly notified as somebody comes in and they recently switched jobs. Boom, get them into a LinkedIn or an email sequence and reach out to them. And let them and give them some resources that they can use as they kind of transition themselves. In fact, a great book to get. I forget the exact name of it, but it's called Your First 90 Days on Amazon. I believe it's called that. Go buy that book. It's written from the perspective of a candidate. What do you do in your first 90 days to make sure you can fully transition? Go read that book, and then you'll be an onboarding expert. And then go share that knowledge with those new people who've just started as a resource, and be there for them, because as they start to reorganize their departments, you want to be right there ready to go. And that's another great resource that you don't really get with LinkedIn Recruiter.
Could I chime in with an unbelievable golden tip of the day? May I?
Oh man, yes, please. I like
So,
golden tips.
no.
As long as it's just the golden tip.
How about olive tips?
I'll take an olive tip too.
I'm olive skin. That's a bad joke. Okay.
I'm not picky. I didn't know you
So,
were Greek.
well, no, but I'm told I look Greek or I look Italian or whatever it is. So,
And I know you partake in Greek activities. Or what's
ouch.
well, yeah,
So the
just
golden tip.
you like olives.
So, well, olive skin, olive tip. It's
Wait,
a bad joke.
wait. So all right, ethnically, what are you? I know you're Jewish. Is
Well,
that
so no, that's it's funny. People are like, well, what's your ethnicity? And you're like Jewish. Well, that's
yeah?
not an ethnicity. That's a religion, right? I mean,
Well,
so
no, it can be. It can be an ethnicity.
it's become that. It's like people like, yeah,
Yeah.
it can be, right? But it's like I remember when I was young, we crossed the border into Canada, and the guy asked, "What's your nationality?" And my dad's like, "American," and the guy's like, "We're American too." Meaning it's North America. Yeah, we're all American. We're U.S. anyway. So Jewish. It's not really a good story, but I said it anyway. My dad, my whole life, told me that we were Sephardic Jews, which makes sense. I'm dark skinned. I'm very handsome, dark eyes,
You're very
and that's
handsome.
the.
Handsome man.
Thank you. That's the old Persian Jew that got sort of thrown out to Spain and the Spanish Inquisition.
Mhm.
They got thrown back out to Eastern Europe, and it explained my dark skin. Well, the 23andMe and all those DNA companies came out. My first relative went through 98% Ashkenazi. My dad and his brother like, no, it's wrong. And then we all got 10. We're all 98% Ashkenazi. So we're not Sephardic. My whole life, it's like my identity. It's
Oh
like to
man,
find out that you were adopted, right? After you're like
you were
40.
you were Elizabeth Warren.
I totally was.
Oh man.
Okay, so the tip,
All
great
right. So,
tip. Everyone's
and
waiting
for
on the
those of
tip.
you who don't know, Elizabeth Warren was a person. It was the senator, I believe. But she had always she looked white, so white bread, but she was always like Indian Native American. And then it turns out she was like 1,024th Native American when she took the 23andMe test.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Anyway, so what is your golden tip of the day, Neil?
So what you want to do, if you're a recruiter and you want to use these notifications, take advantage of them. There's amazing ones like you just talked about, right? Finding out these new people. But here's the reason I love that search. And what you said is totally awesome. It's a great way to find out what's going on in companies, get these people to talk, provide value, all that stuff, especially if you're niche like you in SAP or whatever. But if you take the adage that a job order never dies, a job order never dies, meaning even if you lose one, it doesn't die. A job order doesn't die, it just moves from place to place. And I loved when I was taught that. That might have been a Cahill-ism. I don't know. It was way back in my early days. But think about what that means, though. It means that a job order is, if you lose an order, so you can see where I'm going with this, the job order is not dead because it just moved because it moved to that company where the person just left from that was hired that filled your position, right? So I lost it because they just hired Joe Smith from ABC Corp. Well, ABC Corp now has a job order because Joe Smith left. Mm-hmm. So shift your gears to Joe Smith. And if you take that for this, these people are the Joe Smiths. So look at all of this news as, my God, I've got a potential job order from where they just left. So don't just look at them from that perspective. Figure out what company they're at and start making calls there. They'll certainly tell you the scoop. They're new. You welcome them. They're game. Everyone's open. How'd you get the job there, by the way? Through a competitor, through an agency? Do you know if they use agencies? Help me out. Who do I talk to? And you got yourself a job order. It's an amazing, great way to be smart, use technology, and not make freaking cold calls. Again, is it a cold call? Yeah,
100%. And people are afraid to ask those questions. Like, for example, asking where'd you come from? Who placed you? So there's another recruiter from the place you. In fact, candidly, anytime you talk to, funny enough, I will say this when people are cold calling or whatever, or emailing, and a company says we already use a recruiter, 99% of people do not ask, who are you using? What? Because they're afraid to. They're afraid they're stepping on toes, or they're just afraid. Like, why not? If you want to get great competitive data, everybody you ask, everybody's used a recruiter at some point. Who do you like? Who do you don't like? What do you like about them? What do you don't like about them? Get data. I'll tell you what, guys, and not even just the local K-Force branch. Who's your account manager? I'm curious. Oh yeah, I know that guy. He's all right. He's good. And in fact, now granted, I will say this: anytime somebody mentions a competitor, you never want to badmouth them. You just say, oh yeah, they're good. I've heard of them, and leave it at that. You never want to badmouth them. But people never ask that question. But here's something else you could do. Going back to how a job order never dies, even when you place somebody, if you place somebody and they leave their company, that's an opening. Why can't you go and tell them that you were the person that pulled that individual? Why not? Why not? That's proof of what you can do.
But yeah. So what would you say? Because that's exactly. Listen, people that, wow, what do I do? How do I get new clients? I'm like, are you brand new? Like everyone that watches this show or does any training, take a step back and look at all this smart info you have in your puzzle in front of you. And that's so simple, David, but brilliant. Yeah. Because people don't. But so David, how dare you recruit you recruit my people out? You've caused me this, and now you're calling me? The nerve of you. What say you?
What say I? That's the best place that I can do a good job for you. That's what we're supposed to do. I'm never going to be embarrassed. Now, having said that, you don't want to call the day they turn in their resignation. You want to wait a couple of weeks after. But
I agree.
But that said, I'm never going to be embarrassed. And if somebody tries to attack me for that reason, I'm just going to get off the phone. I'm not going to even worry about it. I'll call back later. But I will say, I will say, when you reach out, you do want to have some kid gloves and say, "Look, I'm not." The reason why I reached out because I've wanted to work for your company for quite some time, and I ended up talking to Billy. As you know, he's great, and he was a great fit for my client. And I wanted to let you know if you ever need anybody, I recruit in the passive candidate marketplace or whatever you say, right? But you just make it very nice and very professional. Something else you could do as well when it comes to uh, 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 finding job leads. So the one thing recruiters always do, and this is kind of like a standard thing, they go on a job board and they see someone posted, and they're like, oh crap, that's a job, right? You know how easy it is to go look at a job, right, posted, and then you'll see the firm working there or working on that job has the same job description posted, right? Or you can go
Yeah, yeah, I
find the
love
job
that.
description from the company and like Google a line and then come up with whatever it is, right?
Meaning,
So,
meaning. Good.
so, so when you reach out, and people always say, things like, I was through my network, I was made aware or whatever. Like, come on, they know you signed on a job board. I prefer to be honest. So I'll just say, in fact, I'll be radically honest, and I'll say, so I happen to see you're posting for a blank that was posted by Kforce for the same job description. Now I'm curious if your staffing partner is posting on the same job boards that you're on. Have you considered reaching out to the passive candidate marketplace, the candidates that aren't on the job boards? Have you noticed I'm throwing the other company under the bus, but not doing it overtly, but I'm still doing it? Why not be honest and say, you saw it on a job board? I happen to see Kforce posted it. I'm curious if they're posting on the same job board that you're on anyway. Have you considered reaching out to candidates who aren't on the job boards? Because that's what
Now,
we
I
do.
love that because it's super pointed, but not. So you said why not? I say not only not why not, but how can you not? How do
Mhm.
people like when you know this stuff? You must put that in your cold call. You must, right? Neil is handsome. Um,
Yes, yes.
you must put it in your cold call, meaning because what you've just done is you've taken away their several objections. You've taken away the we don't have any openings objection because you already said I know you do.
Mhm.
You've taken away the we're not using any agencies objection because you just told them I know, and we're not paying any fees because you know.
Yeah.
So you must call them up, and then where's the conversation? So you could take yours, which is very direct, and I like it. And just FYI, we don't do that. Okay, maybe they don't like it, whatever. But we'd love to work with. No, well, we're like, why won't they work with that? And here's what I love about that, and that's my whole mo in my trainings, my whole life. Anyone I've ever worked with, it's all about getting those leads, being smart, talking to those candidates, talking to those Joe Smiths from before, finding out where they're interviewing, find out how they got the job. Go like if you can on the job board, I can find out what agency's in there, call them immediately, and go out swinging. Go out
Yeah.
swinging because they got an opening. They have a desperate need right now, or a need. They're
Mhm.
paying an agency. They're paying a specialty agency. So you know they're
And and
paying a
and
25 or 30% fee. Go
and
ahead.
and the agency they're using is taking their job description and reposting it on the same job boards they're on anyway. So they're getting shitty service. They just don't know. They just don't know. In
So,
fact, you know what you can do, even beyond that. Oh, shit, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Neil. Sorry about that.
oh
Go
no,
ahead.
don't worry. That's what we do.
Well, I will say this. So something else you could do if you really want to take it to the next level. So one of the things I started to get into when I got Dub, which is so for those who don't know what Dub, dubb.com. It is a kind of like it's a quick video platform, so you can
Love it. Love Dub.
yeah,
Love
yeah,
Dub.
love Dub. Yeah, you can shoot videos on it. I've used it for a couple of years. But you can do screen shares. So one of the great, it's kind of like Loom, but it's much more robust. You can do have your own landing page. You can pixel it if you're into retargeting for ads. But anyway, but if you quite literally send the manager or the executive, whoever, a screen share and pull up their job, pull up the Kforce's job description, and kind of go through and say, Bob, I noticed you've got 3 different firms working on this. They've all posted the exact same position, the same days, are reposting it, and they're really betting on information asymmetry, meaning a candidate will apply to them before they apply to you. There's really not a lot of value there. Now, with that said, here's some options. And you can quite literally take them, maybe blur it out, but take them into your database and show all 642 project managers in the Atlanta area, whatever. And so here's how we are going to go about doing this. See this video we're shooting right here? This is the first contact we have with each of these candidates with a pitch that we use. In fact, I want to pitch the job, the job that you have. I'm going to pitch it right back to you. I'm not sure if K-Force did that or not, but I want you to hear what I would say on your behalf. I mean, you can quite literally just demonstrate how good you are. And again, it's about that radical honesty and showing exactly what you do and not being afraid to, again, pitch the job back to the
And what's so
prospective
cool,
client.
David, is what you're talking about does require 5 minutes worth of work. Now, that's all it is, by the way, if you get a dub or something like that, or any video tool. Frankly, even if you don't have dub, use it because it's awesome. But even if you don't, then just record it on your iPhone and send it. I use that for when I need to make a deal, when they're not calling me back, when I know there's something, when I know they're big prospect. I just put whatever I'm going to type in my email, and I just do this. I'm like, and it works like all the time. All the time, I'm going to say that you get a reaction. Like, who gets a homemade personal video that's not a canned
And
video? Who doesn't
and
respond?
and also you're notified when they watch it. You're
That's
notified
right.
when they watch 100%. So you get the notifications, on your phone if you're hooked up there, and then yeah, you notified when they watch it. Is fantastic. It's also great for building relationships. If you have a message to a client or a candidate, instead of typing out a 5-minute email, I just shoot a quick 30-second video, send it off, and they see my face. And we've got this. You got to use it, right? And so you know what I'm talking about, Neil.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, that's a great. Now I see here we have a question from looks like it is CJ. Curious about the rules of NPC. Curious about bullet points in a small blurb, or send a piece of marketing paper that's not a resume with a summary of skills. So I've got my own answer to that, but if you want to throw in yours before I do mine, or vice versa, I am.
Well, so that's implying that your NPCs are going to be without any contact, right? So it's implying that it's digital. So I don't consider a true NPC call sending an email. Now, don't get me wrong. That's all part of an outreach program, multifaceted: video, LinkedIn, email, everything. But if you know that there is an opening there, they are using K-Force, you got to take your hot prospect calls, and they cannot be this. So blurb, no, none of them, to all of them. Now, if you're talking about in general, no, you don't want sending a resume. They could find them as well. Same that we talked about. They could search a resume if they wanted to do it. They don't want a resume. It shows you're in the resume game. A blurb's always going to be it. Why you want to talk to them about this person. The quick summary, executive summary. So that's my answer. There's lots of ways to make that a lot sexier. But if I know this, I'm going to quickly try to reach out to them. I'm going to leave a call or a voicemail drop, or I'm going to do the quick video. If I'm a recruiter now, I'm using Dub, and I'm saying, look, hey, DSP, my name's Neil. Hey, I know you've never heard me before, and this is our first video together. As you can tell, this video is just for you, bud. But long story short, I understand you're using K-Force to help you fill the position for a controller. And so I'm a recruiter. I've been placing nothing but finance people forever. Clients dig me for my elevator pitch, yada, yada, yada. I would love to work with you on it. I happen to have two amazing candidates, don't know where you are in the process. I want to talk to them about them. Be worth your time. When can we chat? That's all day long. I'm doing that. And how many do you have to do like that to be successful? How many a day do you have to do? One a day like that. If you did one a day and followed up with it and got one lead every day like that, you're billing $500,000. What's your answer?
That's great. Actually, that's fantastic advice. But if you do this on a daily basis, so for me, in terms of the technology side of it, so the way I look at it is, I like to look at the NPC. And by the way, for those who don't know, an NPC, at least for the way we're using it, is a most placeable candidate. It's like an old MRI term from back in the day. Marketed candidate, whatever you want to
It
call
used to
it.
be called an
But
MPA. Remember that in the day? Most placeable applicant. Very passive.
oh man,
Pussy
that's
term.
really old. So so generally speaking, here's my view on NPCs. And this so for me personally, I never really got anywhere with NPCs when I would market line people, so analysts and developers, all that kind of stuff. I never really got anywhere with it because there's so many body shops in my industry, and they're all doing that, and so for me, when I started reaching out to leaders, VPs and directors and C-suite, and then I started using those as NPCs. That really took my game to a whole other level because that's how you get those high level positions, right? You start representing those people, and the companies that you're calling realize that you play in that space, right? It's just a calling card,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
will.
yeah.
Now with that said, with regard to the actual NPC calls, generally speaking, if you have, okay, so I want to go kind of broad and narrow. If you have a big marketing campaign, meaning you're constantly reaching out to decision makers, right? And you're always alluding to, I can help you with your career, I can help you with your career. You should always be doing that no matter what. And you get folks that are going to be getting on the phone with you that maybe they're not looking for people, but they will be looking for an opportunity. Maybe one or two people a month, that the really good ones, you can roll into I call it our partner program because I actually make it an actual offer, and they sign an agreement. I mean, it's a big thing. But what happens is then we create a national sequence. So LinkedIn, email, phone, and a set scripts, and we actually work with the NPC to develop the script, and we actually help them with even the resume rewrite. I mean, that's why they sign an agreement, because we put a lot into it. Now that said, in terms of the blurbs versus like a PDF, whatever, as the question was. So I'm going to share my screen because I actually have something that I use. This actually is from the sales boot camp I just did, and this is a PDF. And I want to share this here, and you guys can see, if you guys can see this. This is
No, you know
I
what,
actually
David?
had.
You on this, you could click on just that on the right side, and it'll just make that entire thing show the screen. If you see it on your
Oh,
right,
there we
yeah, there
go.
you go.
Oh, there we
Yeah, you
go.
go.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this is a sample. So this is a sample lander. Actually I did this in ClickFunnels. Let me take this. There we go. So here I've got a description of me and my firm and whatnot, my beautiful face. I've got a video here describing the candidate. And of course, this is all confidential. And then what I typically like to do is, let's say there is a candidate that has, I mean, because you want to be selling bullet points, you want to be selling achievements, et cetera. But what I typically like to do is I like to take those things they're really most known for. For example, this one is stewardship. What did she do to show stewardship? Because one of the things that a CIO, when a company's looking for a CIO, they're looking for stewardship of the IT organization, or in this case, driving efficiency, turnaround specialist, right? And so, change leader. So it's the big descriptor of what they are, and then the accomplishment showing what they did. Of course, maybe some quotes, etc. And if they want to book a call, they book a call. And the cool thing is, if you see right down in here, there's a little bot. So I have this hooked up where it's in ClickFunnels. They go there. It's all confidential. There's a video, and there's a bot. So if you're live on this thing, you can see that when somebody's on here, it's only going to those people that you sent it to. So if somebody's on there, it's somebody that you sent this to, most likely, or that they sent it to. You can quite literally chat with them on the spot right there. And so it's those little things like that that make that when you're working with a candidate or leader, and you start mentioning this, and normally people say, well, I can reach out to some of my network and whatnot, but that's kind of a nebulous thing, and we all kind of say the same thing. You say, well, actually, let me tell you about my partner program. Do you have Zoom? Okay, let's share a screen, and you show them this, and you show them the sequences, you show them exactly what we do and all the care we put into it. I've seen their eyes go wide, like, oh gosh. Or you send this to somebody else and say, can you do that for me? And what it does, it also shows them how you recruit. Because they did see all that we're doing here. Imagine I was recruiting for your VP position or for your whatever position. So how you do one thing is how you do everything, really. And so when you do something like this and have such a professional like shine to it, something that's so different, it really gets a lot of attention. So anyway,
So
hope I
David,
answered your
no, but
question.
listen, I know,
That's
but I know
yeah.
you don't like to plug your stuff, so I'll do it for you. But I'm curious because I've never actually seen it. But what I would do if I was a recruiter is so you have this amazing program where you do all this stuff for them, right? Where you create this gorgeous page and this partner thing, the landing pages and stuff that no one's ever going to do, and it's worth its weight in gold. Is that the accelerator program? Which one is that called? Because I don't
Yeah,
know
so
them all.
it's actually I've got three. So I've got the accelerator program, which is my flagship core program, all the trainings there, and then really that's done with you, group sessions and support and all that
But what's the one when
dojo
you
classes.
create the
But
technology, you do it for them, you just give it
oh
to
yeah,
them?
yeah. So accelerator will teach you how to do it, and then tactical, which is where we do it for you. We run all your lead gen
Gotcha.
for you, and then I got the mentorship, which basically is like accelerator, but it's one on one. So it's
I'm
accelerator,
all over
tactical, and
tactical,
mentorship.
though. I'd be all over but on this conversation,
Oh yeah,
I'm all over
it's a great
tactical.
deal.
Do it for me, and it looks amazing. So, um,
Thank you,
yeah, you
thank you.
should send people that stuff. By the way, we're gonna have to rebroadcast that to my group for whatever reason. It's not showing up in the feed, but it's live. We'll have to figure that out. So we'll get the recording later. Everyone could watch it.
Okay.
It's like you're watching live. We also have questions that are coming in that aren't showing up in this feed. We'll figure that out. One of them was from the animal, Michael. Um,
Animal.
Animal. Thank you for watching
Excuse
our
me.
show, by the way, Animal. And you are one of the best we've had, by the way. And I mean that both sexually and as a guest. So he wanted to know, like, so for NPCing, how do you do with the director? What do you do? Call the CEO?
Well,
That's his
yeah, you
question.
call a VP or C suite. You always call up. Generally speaking, or I will say this as well. I will call HR, but I won't call the HR manager or the HR rep. So it's always, I mean, when you call HR, the old joke is always call Barbara and never call Michaela. Barbara's probably a VP of HR. Michaela is the 6 month, IT recruiter. And so if you're going to call HR, you want to call Barbara, Martha, you know,
What? I don't get it.
the
I'm missing it.
VP. Oh, okay, because
Is that a racist joke? A bad
no, not the
off-color
race
joke?
at all. No, it's that in HR. If you have two women in HR, one named Barbara, one named Michaela, more than likely Barbara's probably the VP of HR. Michaela's probably the 6 month out of college IT
Why?
recruiter.
Why though? I'm not following.
Because Barbara's typically an older name.
Oh, the bar.
Not not
Oh,
not
okay.
not many
No,
people are
is
naming their
Barbara old
kids.
anymore? Oh no, I feel so
Yeah, it is,
freaking old.
man.
That would have
Oh
been like
man. Oh
Gladys,
man.
right?
Everybody gets that
Or
joke typically.
Harriet. No, see, I'm old, man. Gladys or Harriet or Bertha.
Martha, like no one names their
Martha.
kid Barbara right now. You know what I mean?
Really?
Not many people.
Really?
No, Michaela and Kelsey
Yeah,
and all those
yeah.
kind of things.
All right.
You know,
Kelsey. There you All
but
right. Yeah, Brittany.
yeah,
Okay.
you call up,
Totally get it.
call up.
Holy cow. I
You
was
know, go as
totally
high as you
not.
can.
Wow. Gee, I feel so friggin' old. That kills me. All right. So talking about calling up. When you
Mhm.
strike out swinging and you know that there's that K Force position, you're making these marketing calls, that guy doesn't respond to my video, I'm going up another level. I'm going over his or her head. Well, I'm going to piss him off. So what? Like,
In fact, oh,
so
100%.
what?
Yeah, why not? In fact, now this is a technique that I've tried it a few times here and there. So I can't say I've had a lot of experience with it personally, but I've read about it, heard about it. I've known people who've done it a lot as well. So just to be clear, but I forget what it's called, but basically. There's a name for it, but when you email or reach out, what you do is you pick like four people in the organization. So let's say it's C-suite, maybe a VP, maybe another VP over here, and then let's say VP, maybe Barbara, VP of HR, whatever. And in your communications, you always mention the other people. Hey, Barbara, I also reached out to, and you list out their names, right? And for each person, you send out four communications
Yeah.
at a time. You mention everybody, and so at some point, someone is going to reach back out to you because you're reaching out to everybody else and you're mentioning them by name. It forces a response
They're not
back.
going to be they're not going to want to be the investment banker who turned down Facebook. Right? They're not going to want to make that mistake if it's a great person and be called out on it.
Exactly, and
So
and and the C-suite is probably going to reach out to maybe the VP, like, call him. You deal with it, right? So now you got
yep.
the C-suite person telling the VP to call Neil, right? To call the animal, and so that helps. Well,
Yeah. So
call the animal.
so people don't want to go over the people's heads. It's going to piss them off, and I agree with that. Except when they're ignoring you. So you've reached out to them. You know they've watched your video. They've seen an email. You know they have an opening. You know they have sendouts. You know they're using Kforce. You know they're paying 25%, and they're still not calling you. They're not going to call you. You're not getting it. You've done it. You've done your job. So I'm going over their head. If they get pissed off, good. use me, and I'm not gonna be nasty to them. Oh,
Yeah.
like let their boss say use Neil, and then I'll explain whatever. They'll be like go out swinging, man, and that's what's great about it because one of the big things in sales, and I learned this from Tony Robbins' sales boot camp, and I so date myself, David, because this was back in 1993. The course was done via closed circuit TV with Anthony Robbins, and it was done nationally when you were in this offsite group. The thing he talked about was
God, you are
accountability.
old.
Dude, I can't believe it just
God.
happened out of nowhere, man. Anyway, yeah, closed circuit friggin'
Are you
TV
one of the
for
original Jews? I'm curious. Are you one of the OGs?
Look
Are
at
you one of
I
the
got the
OJs?
face. So, David, now that you asked, let me talk to you about the story with Anthony Robbins. It's no,
How was
that's more like
Moses in
Woody
real life,
Allen.
by the way?
He was
Like
Woody
with
Allen.
Moses, was he dick
Moses,
as much a dick as they say he was?
Moses, Soon Yi, I need your help. Soon Yi. That's my Moses meets Woody Allen. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Soon Yi is your beautiful, sensitive person. Okay, so Moses, God, the flaming bush. So it's not. It's
like
anyway.
redheads. He did like
The story is that you need accountability. Like, just focus on friggin' 2 prospects, not 200.
Mhm.
Own that lead where it's K portion, 25% fee, and all this. Go nuts until it's exhausted. Send them an overnight package. Find them on LinkedIn. Connect with them. Do everything because you only have to do one of those a day to make $500,000. How's that grab you?
100%, 100%. And that's the thing that people don't realize. People always say, look, you can reach out to a lot of leads. You can really focus on maybe on one specific lead. Candidly, if you put together good prospecting sequences, email, LinkedIn, you kind of not completely automated, but semi-automated, you can actually do that same thing. You can actually give each lead that sort of attention on a mass scale. Imagine if you did that, what kind of billings you
Mm,
would have, right?
crazy.
Um,
Ding ding
but
ding
that
ding
said,
ding
looks like we've
ding
got
ding
some
ding ding
news.
ding
So
ding ding
yeah,
ding 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 ding. All right, news
I
time.
always feel so silly doing that. So
I still say we need audio because this platform allows for nice audio uploads and all that stuff. But again, that's in your
yeah,
court
we need
in
to
the
do that.
control room. I think it'll be awesome. Why
We'll get that next
not?
week.
It's time we upgrade it. We're like several months
We'll
into
bring that
this.
out with Cahill. Okay.
So
Oh, did I
all the
mention
new
Danny
watch
Cahill's going to be on the show next week? Just
Danny
I don't know if I
effing
mentioned that earlier,
Cahill.
but whatever.
I don't know why we would, but it's a big show. It's
He's
your
been
biggest.
hounding us. Look, I'll tell you what, he's been hounding us for a long time. Candidly, it was between him and Animal, and I'm like, I'd much rather have Animal. Cahill's he's over the hill, and
But listen,
and
the
then
animal that's
I'm just
hysterical.
kidding, Cahill.
But the
I'm just
animal, I'm
kidding.
going to say this: the animal had set
I like
very
Cahill.
low expectations and had an amazing show,
It
and
was a
that's the way
great
you
show.
do it.
And
It was a great show, but he said
it,
it like I
it
suck at
didn't
this.
record.
I'm a talk show host because the
And it
animal
sucks
show
is
is
it
amazing.
didn't record. We have to redo it because the recording was like it was there was
Ugh.
like an error or whatever. So that's the one show we did that did not record, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it was a
Unfortunately,
great one. So,
yeah.
anywho, let's just get some news. We got a couple of fun stories, but most of them are just every week. I'm sadly reporting bad news, and we got to share it because you got to know what's going on out in the market, and you want to talk to your clients and be really educated about this. But I got to say, this week there were like 10 good news articles, and I'm just gonna pick a couple of them. Here's one of them. Don't know that there's tons of commentary on it, but good shit. Job openings, they rise in July by 617,000 and exceeded forecast by the BLS. How awesome is that? Woo! All right, that's a good
That's
one.
fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, granted, I am afraid of the kind of the mass evictions are about to be happening right
Oh
now.
my God, me
Uh,
too, me too, me
that's
too.
going to be huge.
Sure.
But that said, yeah, dude, I think the fundamentals of this economy are still very, very strong, and we're going to there's going to be a bounce back effect for sure. Um,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm definitely, but at the end of the day, what it comes down to is it comes down to you and I and everybody else here doing their fucking part and getting out there, getting on the phone, creating opportunities, making shit happen. If you find a great candidate, you take them out to market, you find them a company that maybe creates an opportunity for them where an opportunity didn't exist before. You just create a job, and you may have saved a company, you may have saved thousands of jobs.
Yeah, yeah.
So Every single call you make right now, you need to think of yourself on a mission. And I'll tell you what, if you have cold call reluctance right now, you tell yourself it is your mission to get this country and this world back to work. And that has got to be in your head every single day. And that's got and if you can realize that, no amount of call reluctance will keep you off the phone, right? It is your mission. All right, anyway, end
But
rant.
no, good stuff, good stuff. And we could add that to any of the things we're talking about, because I'll just throw a couple of these things real fast. Jobless claims, they were flat this past week, or suggesting that the stalling labor market's in a recovery mode. Good numbers there. In August, on the temp side of the business, temp always a great indicator. Again, you all forget about the fact that I do it with the back office. You all need to get into temp, and a lot of you are doing it now because clients are calling you for it. But be proactive. U.S. in August added almost 107,000 temp jobs. The temp penetration, in terms of the number of temps that are hired as a percentage of the total workforce, have increased. Now, it's still below the pre-pandemic levels, of course, but it's a super great sign. And it was shrinking and shrinking, and now it's growing. That's another great one. And one last one on this. This is a manpower survey. Now, we love the surveys, but employers across the board are foreseeing improved hiring in the fourth quarter, which adds on top of what we talked about last week. So, David, how's that? That's four great, uplifting, positive stories.
Get on the phone. Get on the phone and get some other jobs. Be part of it. Be part of it. No. Again, I think the fundamentals of the economy are very strong. I do think we're still going to face some hardships. For sure. We're facing some mass evictions here pretty soon, and that's going to be a big wheel in the spokes. So I think we're not over yet. Plus, there's an election coming up. Plus the riots, and it's just we have lots of turmoil coming up. So I'd say, so to be candid with you, I'd say that in addition to all the jobs, one thing that recruiters need to do, search for owners, recruiters, wherever you are, start to really pivot how you talk about what you do, how you sell it. We used to always sell. It's so hard to find good candidates, and the unemployment's so low. Now, personally, I think that companies need to pivot, and they need certain types of leaders that maybe they didn't need before, and those leaders are not very common. And that should be your bread and butter. That's that's the thing that companies most need right now, and that's the thing that that if you're a good recruiter, you have the most ability to get, right? Not the people that are on the street, but the people that are those leaders that could be turnaround specialists, right?
Awesome. Yep.
And that's what you need to really be thinking about.
Yep. And if you want to be really optimistic, so let's break these numbers down from the manpower survey. So 20% of the firms, which is the highest number.
Neil.
So I'm gonna break it down. Let me drop some knowledge to you peeps out there. See, let me drop some knowledge to you, Barbara.
Break it down. Holla.
Holla to Baba. So 20%
So cool.
of firms plan to increase their staff. So that's 1 out of 5 is not saying an increase in staff, right? Which is pretty awesome. And again, this is for the fourth quarter. It's not for next year. 8%, only 8% are saying a decrease. So that's massively down from where the numbers were. And almost 70% or 67 anticipate no change. So in the recruiting world, okay, think of this now at a micro level. You don't need job growth to make a really good living as a recruiter. Because even in a completely stagnant, no growth world, with unemployment not through the roof, you still are going to have the companies that want A players, the companies that typically in the good days would pay a high fee, would do their thing, right? You just need to have good people that they can't get, right? You could have no growth, but people, when they're ready to move because they've reached their last straw, because they're going to move, it's job churn versus job growth. Recruiters make their money because of either churn and burn, no growth, but these positions keep recycling because people keep leaving and you get employee turnover. And recruiters fit into that hurricane cycle very beautifully. When you have all things stable and you get job growth, in which case you get to grow with all that new demand. Together, you get a nice funnel. So that's a nice optimistic way to look at it. And I'm going to close my thoughts for the day on that, David.
Well, the problem is, it says, Neil, the problem with what you said is that adjusting like that and being able to take advantage of that takes work. And unfortunately, there are a lot of recruiters out there. For years, there were commodity recruiters just flipping their resumes. It's really easy to pick up a job. It was really easy a year ago, and they just close 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20. And it's really hard to do that nowadays. And so you have to. And unfortunately, a lot of recruiters aren't willing to change, aren't willing to learn how to sell effectively because they're afraid to, or maybe they're veterans and they haven't sold in a long time, and they're kind of they feel like maybe an old dog can't learn new tricks, which isn't true. But yeah, I think opportunities are out there, but you need to change. You need to change quick, and need to learn how to sell.
Yeah. So we had a
Right? If you
couple
don't
of
learn how to
questions.
sell, that's a problem.
So this isn't a
Oh yeah,
question,
yeah.
but it says
Questions.
animal sucks. Animal sucks. So I'm sorry about that. It's not a question. It's a statement. Not agreeing nor
Yeah, it
disagreeing.
sucks.
But both C-level and HR in the same email works pretty well. So they're agreeing with that. So someone is, what about the 30 million people who are collecting unemployment? Um, my answer would be, what about the people who are quoting stats that are nowhere near reality? So, no, what 30 million people at unemployment? There's 30 million people that they think might be evicted from their homes and stuff with some of the problems. But no, of course, there are not 30 million people unemployed. That said, I think your message is we're still on a high unemployment percentage numbers. It's high. You'll still, talk to clients. Your A players, back to my point, you'll still be able to place A players. There's tons of people. Again, look at you, just reset your bar, and it depends what it is. Whatever you've been doing, let's just say with the per market now, doing all things the same, you're going to do 30% less. Accept it. I'll accept that. I don't think
Well,
that's demotivating. I don't think it's
there's
unmotivating. The same
also
things.
Well, so from a purely pragmatic standpoint, think about it like this, right? What belief is going to do you the most, or what belief is going to have the most utility right now? Is it the view that everything sucks, there's no jobs, it all sucks. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Panic, panic, panic. Or dude, there's some amazing opportunity out there. Just got to figure out how to get there. Like, look, what viewpoint has the most utility and is going to get you through this hard time. It's
But
not
it's
easy.
relative, David.
It
It's
is what it
relative.
is.
It's the
Yeah.
same decrease for everyone. But I'm saying it depends what you do and what your bar is. Change your
Mhm.
bar and how you accomplish that bar, and you could be ahead of easily where you were. Look at the Rich Rosen episode, and I know we're about out of time, right? Rich Rosen, yeah, he's down. He admits it. I'm down. I'm down like everyone, and I'm working on it. I'm doing real, but so he's upset because he's not billing $1 million a year. He's billing 750,000, or he's not billing his 850. He's billing 650. People kill the bill 650. They're down from 2 to 150 and say they can't do 2. Change your bar. That's my ending comment. David?
Chicken bar, and also use this as a rock bottom. I mean, a lot of people when they say so for a lot of recruiters or really anybody, they build just enough, and of course when they get a placement in, they don't work, and all of a sudden the cash starts running low, and then they get back on the phone. That's kind of that thing that a lot of us do because we typically have low standards, and oftentimes, let's say somebody hits rock bottom, they go into rehab. Why did they make a massive change in their life? Because they hit a rock bottom.
That's right. That's
They
right.
had
That's
they
right.
and you had to hit rock bottom. View this sometimes maybe as your rock bottom. If there are things that you should have been changed about your work style and your productivity and how you approach the business years ago, but you never did because you never had to, use this as an opportunity. As maybe your rock bottom and say, you know what, it is time to nut up or shut up. I'm just going to make shit happen, and
That's right.
and 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 you may actually pull out of this. Actually, if you do it right, you will stronger, more resilient, billing 2 or 3 times as much as you did before. Own the market if you look at it the right way. But if you're
That's it.
constantly bitching about it, then it's never going to
That's
happen
right.
for you. But
So the
you gotta look at
yep.
yourself in the mirror and just do what you got to do to make it happen. Right?
That's right. Because
I look at it.
the definition of insanity is repeating that stupid definition of insanity that everyone quotes all the time and thinks they're clever.
And
That's the
Albert
definition of
Einstein did
insanity.
not say that, by the way.
No, I
This is
did
Albert
not.
Einstein
I
said it.
hate that.
Einstein never said
And
that.
anytime a trainer or anyone says it, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, that is the lowest hanging
Um,
trainer fruit. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Yeah, fucking Albert Einstein is trying to figure out the light differential and Mach warp light speed, and he's coming up with that shit.
actually, it's not really the definition of insanity. Actually, yeah.
David, always a pleasure, my man.
Losers.
Next
Always a
week, we
pleasure.
got
Well,
a good guest, don't we?
Yes, we do. We have Danny Cahill. Danny Cahill next week, and he told us specifically. He told Neil. He told me. He said, "Look, dudes, I don't want to be on the show. My agent's making me do it, but he has an agreement." He said, "Look, if there's under
Yeah.
100 viewers, he is bouncing and flip us the bird on the way out. So if we don't want that to happen, we want the actual goodies. Come and watch the show. We'll be promoting it, and we'll be on YouTube. We'll be on the video. We'll be on Facebook. We'll be everywhere." With that said, that is it for me, Neil. It has been a pleasure as always, and
Indeed, my
everybody,
brother.
thank you so much for watching the show. We'll be here next week, same bad time, same bad channel. And with that said, peace out. See ya.
Peace out.